Muri Zimbabwe makati mose matima na nyika Zimbabwe kusangana zvekare pano pachivhitivhiti chenyu patinokupai nyaya nemalatest updates ezvinhu zvinenge zvichiitika. Mamiriro akaita zvinhu muri Zimbabwe hazvina kumira zvakanaka sezvo isusu kutsamwa kwedu senyika yeZimbabwe kuri kumanejwa nevanhu vanosanganisira Godfrey Tsenengamu, Hope Ching'ono, Jacob Ngarvume. Right, vanhu vatatu ivavo ndoda kuti mutarisise movements avo kuti vanenge vachimboita nezvemupolitics. Muri Zimbabwe tinenge tichingonzwa dates from Norway kunzi tine demo yakadai so vanhu motopinda imomo mozwa mashoko mozwa kunzi iye anga achida kuassassinatwa kumba kwake kwazosiwa kwanyorwa madziro iye ari kutsvagwa hana kuoneka. Muri Zimbabwe zviri kunzi vanhu ava vanosanganisira Hope Ching'ono, Godfrey Tsenengamu, Jacob Ngarvume zviri kunzi vakatodesignwa neinonzi Zimbabwe Joint Command kuti vaite maoperations ekumaneja kutsamwa kwevana veZimbabwe. Right, muri yeZimbabwe zvinhu hazvina kumira zvakanaka munyika yeZimbabwe, but tinoda kuti tinge tichionesana zviri kunzi vanhu ava itimu CIO ndo timu recounter intelligence. Vanhu ivava vari kushanda as a project yemasvodadzo Mnangagwa. Emasvodadzo Mnangagwa ari kugaina strength from Hope Ching'ono, Jacob Ngarvume naGodfrey Tsenengamu pakuita kwaanenge achipa kuita kunenge kuchiitwa nemaoperatives ake. Saka mamiriro zvakaita muri Zimbabwe toda kuti tinge tichionesana zviri kunzi vakomana ava izvozvi vari kutaura mashoko against president wekunyika yeZambia nekuda kwezvakasiyana siyanawo, but pari kutaurwa nyaya iri kubva kunana Jacob Ngarvume. So zviri kunzi Jacob Ngarvume zviri kunzi this is Jacob Ngarvume, another member of the Hope Ching'ono's fraud gang working as a regime counter-intelligence operative for their notorious 31 July project. Right, panapa pari kunzi izvoni Ngarvume been on this since the day when he was removed from MDC Alliance in 2018. Today he joins his mafia boss Ching'ono to falsely accuse Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema of violence. He does it at a time when it's clear the perpetrator and promoter of the violence is his own leader, Ching'ono. Ngarvume does this at a time when leaked documents from all 31 demos since 31 July 2018 reveal that they have all been created by Zimbabwe's Joint Operation Command to contain the public in their anticipated movement. 31 July is the CIO's finger button to make people angry on their own anger, so to control them. 31 July is a counterintelligence operation launched in 31 July 2018 before the elections, and then another one in July 2020 by 3 operative Godfrey Tsenengamu, Jacob Ngarvume, Hope Ching'ono. Ever since then, they created a new 30s to manage people's angers. They feed people with anger, feed them with debt, and then come in to control their anger. Zobva zvavarana. Come next week, you will be able to exhaust, tired, and branded as ED gather more strength, cause he will manage to run your lives with his finger button. Watch the Motornet Commission to hear from the horse mouth how the state security creates demos in order to defeat distance. Izvozvo muri Zimbabwe ndofunga makazviona kana pageza revolution zvakangobudo zvakadaro futi. Takaona ana mutsvango vaitaura zvavaitaura vakaenda kuDubai vakaita sei ana svikira taona geza akatozofa mutirira chiroro. Saka muri Zimbabwe ndo mamiriro azvakaita. Tine tichitambwa pamwe pacho. Tine tichitambwa pamwe pacho pana pari kunzi the way another 31 this time March Geza demos was encouraged by the crew as they under Ching'ono claimed that Christopher Mtsvangwa is fled to Dubai and then crushed by the same person when he trapped the people, falsely accused Geza activists of stealing. Ndofunga makanzwa Geza chinzi akaba ku army yakazoita sei zvakatarika zvakawanda wanda. Saka mamiriro zvakaita muri Zimbabwe ndo iwaya muri kutoona. Tokutendai chose nekutera kwenyu pano pachivhitivhiti chenyu patinokupai nyaya. Tichakusiyai makatero makomerezi edu.
They are a mirror image of the problems which caused this singing as well. It's a photocopy, carbon copy. So it's quite tragic. And we keep on having the same problem. Why are we not learning? Why are we not taking preventive measures? And again, for me, the way those people were boarding that boat, right, and the accountability actually good. How do you tell how many people have ended? Even if I'm doubting that guy Arud has Mamune 153. Angakaverenga say. But my opinion, the way they were getting into that boat, the way they were boarding, how did he count them? For me, it boggles the mind.
Right.
How did he manage to count them? So I'm not, for me personally, I'm not exonerating anyone from the crew going right to the top to wherever office which is running these boats. All the people are responsible. Anyway, thank you.
Right. All right. No, thanks, Caesar, for that. So, okay, I want to believe, and you saw my adults they were paying. So obviously they were. I don't know what was the number of adults on my tickets. Then obviously, Patakaon, I think that video, I'm sure they will be coming from somewhere, from where they pay. So maybe that's where he counted them, because obviously, there was no way you could be counting one per entrance. But I'm not saying that is what happened, but I'm just assuming.
Okay, Titus, I understand that. But still on that, if you listen to those guys, why are they disregarding the counting and taking accountability? Evana? It seems they are only concerned in adults.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they not? They are not accounting for kids. Why are they not accounting for kids? If you fly today with your kids, whether even you've got a 2-year-old, a 2-month-old baby, they account for that. We want to see the passport. Yemwana uyu.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why are they discounting the accounting those kids? They don't even know how many kids were on board. Why are they doing
Oh,
that?
they're trying they're trying to minimize, to trivialize the extent of the
Exactly.
damage.
Are
Hmm.
those kids not human enough? In as much maybe as they don't pay, but they have to account for them. They have to know how many kids are
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely. Every life matters, from the kid to the adult. Yeah, absolutely. All right. No, thanks, Caesar, for that. All right. So I think Rio G hasn't spoken, Jamrotu, Smarters, Tapua, Owen Chari. You haven't spoken. So if I start with, I think the way you came in, I think Jamrutu, I'll go to Rio G, I'll go to Smarters, I'll go to Owen, Tapua, in that order, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are very sorry for what happened in Kariba and losing all those families. Regards to negligence of our tourism board. Uh, it's so much. It has got to be responsible. The Ministry of Tourism and Impacts are responsible. The lake cruises, houseboats, fishing permits, all that. There gotta be somebody who's like inspecting to see those boats when they are getting into the water, so that they could really see that are they fit to go into the water. I've seen my sister here in United States coming in and on the tourism side. I wonder what she's promoting if she hears this kind of news and then she's promoting about tourism for Zimbabwe, because she has to really look at the people who are in the tourism or like ministry, there's impact and they are doing very well. Are they doing the rightful things? Do they have permits and so forth? Because those people who are coming in, they gotta have permits in. They cannot just go without any permits, without any inspection of those boats. I wonder, because it kills the whole nature of this news. It kills the tourism side completely out, and you cannot advertise and say, "Hey, we got a Kariba Dam, we got Victoria Falls. They say, I hear that there was something which went wrong, people who died. Boom. You are not getting anybody who's coming into your country. And the dam authority itself, the Zambezi River Authority, it has to know. And they are all joined together with Zambia and Zimbabwe to fight all this kind of work that's going to be done first before they consume to get people to have those kind of permits. You can't, has my drum kamunhu has drum anongonzi ngaapindewo ongopfekera onzi ngatichitravela itiende. There are some elements of knowing exactly whether this is okay for the boat. Is it okay? Has it been serviced? Has it been checked? And all that is all about tourism. I'm sorry for what happened to our families and to our kids. Thank you.
All right. So who was coming next? Rio G.
Yeah, thank you very much, Uncle Jed. Thank you very much, Titus. It's very, very sad that such kind of disasters, that can easily be avoided, are still happening in Zimbabwe. Growing up, even up to today, we are reminded how rich Zimbabwe is. We are reminded how blessed we are as a country. But you have to ask yourself, Kuti, as a country, if we are as rich or as blessed, as independent, and as what our politicians, especially ZANU-PF, tries to preach, then why would we allow such a disaster to happen? And to make matters worse, yesterday, Nick Mangwana, in the midst of a national disaster, he was posting celebrations of people dancing and getting drunk and jumping, and yet there are families who are still struggling with the death or the missing of their loved ones. If you look at even the pictures of the boat itself, that thing needs to be in a scrapyard. And it is not worth to be used as a mode of transport for anything, even to ferry animals. It's even very, very dangerous for animals, let alone humans. And what we have to sort of come to terms with is, and this is the reality of Zimbabwe, we do not have a government. And that's the truth. We do not have a government. There are situations where, as a child, you realize you don't have parents. You do not have a caring parent or a guardian or somebody that is responsible for your care. It is when such things happen, when disaster strikes. It could be a child that has been involved in an accident, or a child that has been, yes, severely ill, or you've been kidnapped. Those are the moments that you ask yourself, where are my parents? Even as a child, that's the moment you cry. And the first person that you cry to, even when they're not present, is your mother. Munhu wese anotochema achiti mai kani. And what we're witnessing here is Zimbabwe as a child has got no parent. Because how can a government that claims to be that rich, that is dishing out cars left, right, and center, claim to be responsible, claims to be a caring government, allow such a disaster to happen? a disaster of that magnitude, in countries where people are really cared for. We're not even talking about rich countries. We're talking about just showing that you care. They would have probably requested some help from Zambia. We neighboring countries. We've got this disaster. Can you help us? We should have invested in some disaster monitoring technology. When there is a disaster, who is alerted and who's expected to be first on the scene. I was listening to this woman who was part of the people that were involved in this accident, and she was saying they were actually making calls themselves to random government departments, and they couldn't get any help. It just showed that we are a very desperate orphan, and we have got no government that actually cares. And the sooner people know it, better. And I know somebody was mentioning about the churches and the some spiritual stuff that goes on there. I mean, I understand that life does not exist just in physical form. There's also the spiritual side of life. But as humans, we can leave the spiritual side of life to those that controls the spirits, and then we can do our part in preparing and managing the physical sides of the physical side of life. Religion in Zimbabwe, in the form it is being practiced or functioning at the moment, it's another disaster. Because as a people, we are actually been disabled. We no longer think for ourselves. And when I say we, I mean the majority. Of course, there are people there that still, exist and do what they need to do, and they function within the society as expected, to the expected standard. But the majority of people, you see people like Makandiwa bragging about millions. Those guys, the way they are pushing money, the way they are circulating money is evil. And when they preach to you, you actually hear people cheering and clapping, not realizing that they're being used in this game of porn. These are gangsters. This is a mafia. And all these people, the majority or the povo, they're just pawns in this game of corruption. They are used to legitimize, whether it is in politics or whether it's in religion, they're used to legitimize and glorify evil acts. The money that is supposed to be paying for the public service or the improvement of public services is the money that they are using for their personal enrichment. There's absolutely no way somebody can run a business in Zimbabwe and be able to have the amount of money that people like Wicknell and Makandiwa are